Hey, what's going on, gang? We are back at it again. Recorded this day. I'm going to show you some of the things you need to do before you start mixing your session. These are all really important things that'll make your workflow go a lot faster and smoothly. So, one of the first things I like to do is to group my instruments. So, right now I have a bunch of percussion. I've got 10 different drum tracks. I've got a bass, piano, and guitar. I also have these talkback mics. These are what I set up so that the musicians could hear each other because our SLS system is a little funky. And this just is a lot easier. So I'm actually just going to mute these, even though there's nothing on them, just to make sure that I'm not getting any sound from. I'm going to put them in micro just so they don't get in my way. Okay, so I'm going to group all these. I'm going to take my kick, sub kick, snare top and bottom, high tom, low tom, floor tom, hi hat, overhead, left and right. And I'm going to press Command G. This will bring up the create group section, and I'm going to name it drums. Hit OK, and you can see on the left here, now my drums are all in one group. So why do I do this? Because I can go to this screen now and be able to, okay, so there's a reason it's all grayed out, but now, and we'll get to that in a second. But now I can control all of these faders at once, which is really, really good. And I can also solo them all at once. I can mute them all at once. Just little things like this to make the workflow go a lot faster. So I'm also going to group my piano. Same way. I'm just pressing shifts and click to select both of them. Command G, piano. And then I'll do the same thing with guitar. Bass, there's only one bass, so I don't need to group that. I could if I want to, but I'm not going to. Okay, so just a quick note. You might notice that in the comments I've put all of the mics that I have used on the tracks. And this is a really good practice too, that when you're doing your tracking sessions, put in what mic you're using on the comments. And it really helps later when you go back and you're like, man, that was such a good sound. What mic did I use on that? This way you know exactly what mic you used on that. And, or, conversely, I hope this doesn't happen, but maybe you're like, oh man, that sound was not very good. So I'm not going to use that mic again. That actually kind of happened to me in this session. I used, and I forgot to fix it. So the hi-hat was an AT4041 for the first 3 takes. And then I switched it because I thought that his cymbals are really, really bright. And this had way too much top end. So what I ended up changing it to is, I think it was an AKG 451. I'm going to leave that like that. I also took some notes. Another thing that I like to do that saves a lot of confusion later is when I do overheads for drums, I put left and right, like most people do, but I also put that left is over the hi-hat, and I put that right is over the floor tom because it's kind of subjective. If you're looking at the drum set from the control room, then left to you is different than left from the drum set perspective, right? So, from the drum set perspective, the hi hat is on the left, but when you're looking at a drum set, then the hi hat's on the right. So, sometimes if you just put overhead left, overhead right, when you go back, when other people are looking at your session or when you go back to mix sometimes, you might be like, man, which left did I mean? And so putting over hi-hat and putting over floor tom just takes away that confusion of which left or which right did you mean. Okay, bass you might notice doesn't have any comments because it's just DI. And I guess I could come in here and put DI, but it didn't have a mic, so that's okay. The piano that we used was an electric piano patch on the Yamaha motif. So there's that. Okay. So another thing that we want to do is if you look at my I/O right now on the board that we use in there, it's a System 5. The way that it's all set up is that we have equal input and output. If your input's 1, your output's 1. If your input's 5, your output's 5. But when I bring it over to my mix session, I'm going to be putting it in just stereo 1 and 2, right, for my master. So that's why only 1 and 2 are available here in my I/O, and the rest of these are all grayed out. So a really quick way to change this is to hold Option Shift. Last thing I want to do for that is to mute my click track. Next thing I like to do is to color coordinate all of these. You might not have these all already colored like this. It was kind of nice that the grouping did that for me, but I'm going to show you how to anyway. So if you double click down here in our mix window, then it'll bring up a color. And I don't need to do that for the click track. I'm going to do that for the drums though. And I'm going to make all my drums red. Okay, there we go. And yeah, so if you click this button, it makes the whole tracks and everything. This just makes the bottom part. Sure, we'll just make the whole track and everything like that. So if you didn't see what I did, I had to click this this little circle right here to enable that. So we'll come to piano now, and I like my pianos to be blue, so I'm gonna make them blue. And then guitar. Guitar we'll make this a nice green color. And then I'm gonna cut on my bass and I'll make it yellow. Okay, so this is really nice to have when you are mixing because it just is super clean and clear. So yeah, it's way easier to go through when you are mixing to be able to see these colors correctly. Yeah. Okay. To see these colors and then you know right away like it might not look so bad, right, for when you have this small of a session when it's just piano, guitar, bass, and drums. But when you have like a whole bunch of instruments, then it can be really dicey. And you know what? I know that I'm not going to use these talkback tracks. Typically, you don't want to do this. Typically, you don't want to delete any of the tracks that you already have because maybe there's something recorded on it that you want. But I know for a fact I did not record enable any of this and that these are kind of just getting in my way now. So I'm going to go through and just delete these tracks. But be really certain that I could hide and make an active, but I'm just going to delete. And you can even come and keep these alternate playlists too. And I'll just keep them. Why not? Okay. So, don't delete your click track though. It's really nice to have that later so that you can make sure that when you're going through and mixing that everything's on point because not everybody's perfect and maybe some of the beats your drummer's not 100% on and you need to move them later. I'm also going to make a master fader track too. I can just go Command Shift N to bring up new tracks. And I'm going to make one stereo master fader. I'm going to change this to 1 and 2. So now all of these are going to go into my master fader, which I'm also going to make a color too. I'm going to make this dark red. Maybe, yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'm really used to the master being red. Maybe I kind of went on a limb and made my drums red because I thought it would be fun, but then I kind of forgot that the um that my master is like always red. So so much for that fun experiment. Let's just go orange then. Orange looks kind of that doesn't look too bad. Okay, cool. So another thing I'm gonna do is to make some group buses. This is something that you should always just get in the habit of doing because it helps for you to be able to um, do group EQs and to level things out before they hit the master fader. So I've got 4 instruments, so I'm going to make 4 mono buses, and I'm going to move these so that they're right before here, right before my master. And this will I'm going to rename to drum bus, bass bus, piano bus, and guitar bus. Excellent. And I'm going to change these also. So what I'm going to do is to change this to bus. Okay, I'm going to delete all those buses. I don't even know where these came from. It's default. Thank you. Okay. But I am going to name them as well. Naming your buses can be really nice. So I'm going to make one bus. Call it drum bus. Make a new path, call it bass bus. Piano bus. And guitar bus. And so then the drum bus is going to have insert drum bus. The bass bus is going to have insert bass bus. Piano is going to have insert piano bus. And the guitar is going to have insert guitar bus. Cool. So now all my tracks are going into these buses, and I can control how loud each one of these are before hitting the master. That's going to make it way easier to prevent clipping later. I can also put inserts on these so that it controls a whole group, which is nice. So yeah, buses. They definitely help your workflow. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is to put in some markers here. And this is just going to tell me where the different sections of the form are. So I'm going to come over here. And right when it starts, I'm going to put in A section. And then a marker's going to come here. So I'm going to stop that because that was another good place to do that, like A2. So I'm actually going to change the name of this one. I hope. Wait. I know how to do this. How do you... Okay. I just didn't... Weird. To outro, because I had kind of different chords in there. Okay. So yeah. So later, if you have overdubs, or if you're just looking at one spot, then you don't have to like constantly be clicking into here and trying to find exactly where that beat is. You can just come click on this marker and it'll put your playback right where it needs to go. And that makes it way better to do your mixing. Okay. So nice. That is like the bare minimum of what you want to do before you even start mixing, is to get all these things in line so that you know 100% what is going on. So the next thing you want to do is go through your playlists and pick out the best things. I'm going to end it here for today. Thanks a ton for tuning in. Take it easy, guys. Have a good day.